reasons. And we're going to try something a little more unique today. So when you come up to do your work, I'm going to read your bio. I'm going to give a little information to everyone about your work. But also, I'm going to ask you some questions about your work, your process, or some information that you sent me in your bio that we want to talk about with the rest of us. So, first I just want to introduce myself. My name is BM Stroud, Brandon Michael Stroud, and I've been doing poetry for about a good amount of years, but only locally for about a year or less. My process specifically is about giving people an experience. I'm going to read from one of my works tonight that exemplify that. My philosophy about poetry isn't entirely deep, but I believe that it should transcend the form, and what I mean by that is not simply to be read, but an experiment. I like to give people an opportunity to find their own meaning. I am definitely a bit of an existentialist. I do believe that nothing on its own has meaning, so I like my work to reflect whatever you make of the work is your interpretation. So I have games. I write a lot of games. I write a lot of activities for the audience to participate in. That's what I've been doing for a while. I'm going to read from a book tonight, and it is called Alphabet Soup. Alphabet Soup will be available for purchase in the next week or so. I run a local press called Koffee Press, and around the corner there you can see that I have some books set up for $5 that I'm selling. One is from Michael Bernstein, local poet, and it's called Indelible, and another one is called Artis ein Venus, which is youth art, and you can read about it over there and check it out. The press is for experimental and modern works of art, and Eva over here, hello, Eva. Eva actually wrote, there's an example of her work over there, a book coming up in the Koffee Press called Sacred Shapes, and you can check that out as well. So, to give a little information about this book that I'm about to read here, Alphabet Soup. Now, Alphabet Soup, when you open up the pages, appears to be words barfed onto the page. It doesn't appear in any specific order, it doesn't look like much, doesn't even look readable. It is literally just words scattered all over every page. Now, the object of Alphabet Soup is that every time you pick up the book, it is meant to be recited live. And what you do is you take your eye and you begin and end the poem whenever you wish. You take your eye and you hit a random word, you go back and forth, and you don't pre-plan. So what I'm going to read tonight is not pre-planned. You read from your instincts, you read from impulse. You simply just go wherever you need to go to make a sentence, don't pre-plan it, and it just happens. So an example of the work as well is around the corner, and you can check that out. Okay, so without further ado, thank you for coming, living poetry, and enjoy your evening. Because none of these have titles, I will begin at random, again, non-rehearsed, may work out, may not. Children laugh at little Indians, and I thought, now or never. It's like pork meat, smoked. I'll risk it, because the tree trunks are like a ghost that told me that you die and you give up, and you yell to me. Now this idea I have is not an instrument, because Delta Bravo is gummy. It's a gaseous cow, and it blithers me. Thank you. And the key I've noticed is confidence. To act like I'm reading from something that has already been written. I am clueless calm. Could you have my signatures with hate crimes? Such patience I have, such responsibility. I listen with a soft touch, and I ask to make an impact. Or how do we do it? Give me a testing ground or some distance and uncertainty, and coax the watermelon until a wallop and pack a punch. Thank you. I don't think cursing is a form of ditching. My home is my stomach, some sort of 1,000-ton plant, burning to the ashes just to tip your disposition. A big bowl of now or never. And Bo, looking. And Sally told him that divine energy was being reckless. So I said, to feed the devil, an elevator stops because it's believing in an 85-year-old religion. Thank you. There is blip on the map, but I find poetry in it through my esophagus. Beyond popular belief, the silent bribe of tongues need to lead green lead. Because 15,000 men standing in a line, pardon me, I thought bled. Our new motivation and higher cathedrals seem to withdraw much. And our new, isn't that, how do you say, fun times, kick the bucket? Thank you. The main quote that I have in the back that I wrote as an explanation for what this book is not very informative. So it simply says, may you find meaning in chaos. And that's exactly what it is. There are dewdrops, 6,000. Could you be responsible for? Ask. Oops. Brown nose. I made an impact. I'm clueless calm. Impossible to know. She says it's a crane to elongate their second. Prong U. The weirdest thing. I2 equals E2. How? The original copy. Ooh, a duplication of pull and pout. Ah, on my head. You bet that invites will be sent. Now, I'm responsible for however that ulcer pumps out like pudding pie. Thank you. Could you marry a spectator in my peers? Now change or act like, whoa, graded against us so far of a merriment. Prodding midgets coming up but nobody knows. Die mind, left and all let this Pinocchio over the rolls. But a rainbow fish, judge me if you must, but a rainbow fish blathers. A rainbow fish is like a fine wood, a lettuce head, forging names of breath and dust, with video games not coming up from peanuts. And everyone, absurdity, gone. And they're most excited about a back patio full of lords and ladies. Thank you. And I will be reading one more. However you wish, a lonely poet raised by a bough on a junkyard piano over an amount of a coaxing a bear. Why? And you say that a conduct, however winding up, were the kings of the land? No, backyard, justice, my road, a subway road, those break me into plum dumps. And then in the long road, why, highway robbery. Stay far, far, Nyack, until you die hungry. And in the French Twin Peaks below the touch, between the touch of an eerie, won't be if I am, if I wasn't, a whisper. And if you wish that you speak into one more metaphor, what's the subject line? Thank you very much. Now, when I started reading these for family and friends and stuff, they said, wow, that really sounds like a real poem. And I didn't know how to take that because I was thinking originally, well, it is a real poem. And then one of my poet friends told me, well, this is kind of like a mockery of poetry because if anybody can do it and it's just whatever. But that's the point. The poetry is the meaning that you take from it. And maybe it is some sort of deep dialogue. I never thought of it that way. But perhaps it is some sort of deep dialogue about where we find meaning in our work.